On the day my daughter was supposed to call me dad one last time before she became someone's wife, I found my picture taped to the wedding gate. Not a welcome sign, not a seat assignment, a warning. Do not let him in. A red X slashed across my face like I was a criminal. Have you ever seen your own child erase you in public? Because that's what Haley did to me that morning in Connecticut. Or at least that's what I thought she did. But the truth? What really happened behind that sign? It was darker than betrayal. It was design. And 4 hours after I turned away in silence, her wedding collapsed exactly the way the person behind that sign planned it. But not for the reason anyone expected. Before I show you what she found on those tapes, subscribe. People don't see danger coming when it wears a family face. Don't be one of them. The security guard was maybe 22, sharp haircut, crisp vest. He kept looking at the photo, then at me, like he wished it wasn't true. "Sir, I'm supposed to stop you." "Why?" I asked. He glanced at the sign, at the woman who'd written it. "Orders from the family." Not my family. Not anymore. Have you ever walked away from a moment you waited your whole life for? Your daughter's wedding, your chance to give her the last blessing her mother wanted. I didn't shout, didn't plead, didn't embarrass her. I just turned around and walked back to my car like a ghost. But here's the thing no one at that wedding realized. They hadn't banned me because of who I was. They banned me because of what someone else needed them to believe. And that someone wasn't even Haley. I made it down through Massachusetts without saying a word. 12-hour drive. Not one tear. Just that sign replaying in my mind over and over. But here's where the story cracks open. When I got home, there was a plain envelope on my porch. No stamp, no name. Inside was a letter dated 1999 in my late wife's handwriting. "If anything happens to me, don't let my sister twist Haley against you. She knows things about me that she'll weaponize if she ever feels threatened." Weaponize. That word punched the breath out of me. And tell me something, if you heard your dead spouse confess that 25 years earlier, and the very thing she feared happened the day your daughter got married, would you still think it was coincidence? Or would you feel the hairs on your neck rise the way mine did? What would you have done next? Walk away? Or dig until your fingers bled? The next day, my phone rang non-stop. "Frank, is it true you abandoned your family? Frank, did you steal from your wife? Frank, did you hit her?" I felt my stomach drop, because I knew exactly who would benefit from spreading those lies. But the worst call came after. A lawyer from Boston reached out. She said she'd been holding a sealed box for 24 years. My wife left it with instructions. "Give to my husband only if something goes wrong with Haley." Inside the box were cassette tapes. My wife's voice, her real voice, talking about her past, talking about her sister, talking about a jealousy that had been rotting since they were children. But one tape changed everything. My wife said, "Teresa isn't just jealous of our marriage, she's in love with Frank, and if she can't have him, she'll destroy everything he has." Tell me, if you heard your dead spouse confess that, would it feel like grief? Or would it feel like someone lit a fuse under your feet? Because what Haley did next, the moment she discovered who really banned me from her wedding, it didn't just end the wedding, it ended the lie she'd lived under for years. We'll get to that in the next chapter. If you're still watching and not subscribed, tell me why in the comments. I answer every one. 4 hours after I drove away, my daughter's wedding wasn't a celebration anymore. It was a crisis scene. Guests were whispering, the music had stopped. The groom, Logan, was sweating like he was hiding a body. And the bride, Haley, my little girl who once held my hand while we planted tomatoes in the backyard, was on the floor, sobbing so hard she couldn't breathe. What happened? Someone finally told her, "Your father did come. He was turned away." And that's when her world collapsed. Her caterer told me later,
She just dropped the bouquet, fell to her knees, and whispered, "What have I done?" over and over. Imagine that. Your child realizing in front of 150 guests that she betrayed the only man who ever raised her. But here's the twist. She didn't blame me. She blamed the exact person who told her I was dangerous. And it wasn't me, wasn't Logan. It was the woman I buried warning me about, Teresa. Tell me something. If your aunt told you your father was a monster, would you believe her? Or would you feel something in your gut whisper, "Something isn't right"? The next morning, my phone lit up like a Christmas tree, not with congratulations, not with apologies, with fear. "Frank, she collapsed. Frank, she screamed your name. Frank, she kept saying she made a mistake." And then, her own number. I didn't answer, not because I didn't want to, but because I didn't know what to say. She left 13 messages, 13. The last one, I'll never forget it. "Dad, Aunt Teresa showed me something awful. She said you hurt Mom, but I don't understand anymore. I don't know what to believe. Please, please call me. I can't breathe."
If your own child left you a message like that, would you call them back? Or would you wait until you could prove the truth first? And if you want to hear what was really on those tapes, subscribe now so you don't miss the next twist. Most people never learn the truth about their family until it's too late. I told her, "Meet me in Boston, neutral ground." I got there early, hands shaking, heart pounding like a man facing trial. When she walked in, she didn't look like a bride. She looked like someone grieving a parent who was still alive. Eyes swollen, makeup ruined, shoulders trembling. "Dad?" she whispered. I didn't say anything, just slid her mother's letter across the table. She read it twice. Her lips trembled. Her eyes widened like she was falling out of her own body. "Mom wrote this?" "Yes." "Dad, I never saw this. Teresa said Mom left a different letter, one where she said you were emotionally dangerous." I leaned back. "Oh, did she show you the original?" Haley swallowed. "Just a picture." A picture. Not the letter, not the handwriting. A staged image, a manipulated lie. Have you ever realized your entire memory of someone was built on someone else's lies? That's what happened to her right then. She broke, but not in the way you think. She reached across the table, held my hand like she used to when she was 6, and whispered, "Dad, I think Aunt Teresa lied to me." No, she didn't lie. She orchestrated. But Haley wasn't ready for the real truth yet, not until I slid the second envelope across the table. "The tapes," I said. "Your mother recorded them before she passed, and she talks about Teresa." Haley froze. What does she say?" I didn't play them yet, because if I had, she would have learned something she was not emotionally ready to hear. And what was on those tapes? That's where the real betrayal is revealed, but we'll get to that. Would you play the tapes immediately or wait until she was strong enough to handle the truth? Haley told me something else that day, something that tightened my chest. "Dad, Logan knew about the sign. He agreed with it." "Oh, really? So the man marrying my daughter helped ban her own father from walking her down the aisle. But why? Because Teresa told him I was unstable, dangerous, manipulative. And Logan, not knowing any better, believed the woman who'd been controlling the narrative for 20 years. If your son-in-law sided with the villain, would you forgive him? Or would you plan for the long game? I chose the long game. And trust me, this was only the first reversal. The moment Haley listened to the tapes, the entire power dynamic of our family flipped like a coin. But before I tell you what she heard, before I tell you the line that made Haley drop the tape player and cover her mouth, before I tell you the admission her mother made that shattered everything Teresa built, I want to hear from you. If someone in your family poisoned your child against you, would you expose them publicly or destroy them quietly from the shadows? And if you're not subscribed yet, subscribe now so you don't miss the part where Teresa's mask finally cracks. I told Haley to listen alone. No distractions, no husband hovering, no aunt whispering in her ear like a demon wrapped in Sunday church perfume. She called me around midnight. Her voice was shaking. "Dad, I'm pressing play." I stayed silent on the phone. Let the past speak for itself. If you're hearing this, I guess I'm not here anymore. And if Frank has this tape, then I need to explain something about my sister. Haley gasped. I heard it through the phone. She whispered, "Mom?" The tape continued. "Teresa always wanted what I had. My job, my friends, my joy, and my husband." Haley's breath hitched. Yes, she loved Frank. I know she'll deny it, but she loved him. Not with kindness, with obsession, with envy. And she will hurt anyone who stands between her and what she wants, even if that person is her own niece. Haley whispered into the phone, "Dad, is this real? Mom actually said this?" I swallowed hard. She recorded that 6 months before she passed. Then the breaking point hit, the line that detonated Haley's entire worldview. If something ever happens to me, don't let Teresa raise Haley. Don't let her decide who Haley loves, and for God's sakes, don't let her make Haley hate her father. Haley started crying. Not the quiet kind, the scream cry that rips out of your chest when a truth hits you harder than a lie ever did. And then she said something I'll never forget. "Dad, she stole you from me." If someone stole years of your relationship with your child, what would you do? Walk away or take everything back? Logan wasn't supposed to be home early. When he walked in and saw Haley crying, he rushed towards her, or at least pretended to. "What's wrong? Did you talk to your dad again?" She held the tape player in her lap like it was a burning coal. "Logan, you lied to me." He froze. "What are you talking about?" She hit rewind. Hit play again. Her mother's voice filled the room. Logan's expression, he didn't react with confusion. He reacted with fear. That's when Haley realized he already knew. "Logan," she whispered, "how long have you been talking to Teresa behind my back?" He stuttered, looked away, rubbed his forehead. "Haley, she told me things about your dad, things a husband needs to know." Right there, Logan dug his own grave because Haley snapped. "And you didn't think I needed to know the truth about my own father? You let me put a sign on my wedding gate banning him? You let me humiliate him in public?" He tried to defend himself. "She told me your father was unstable, that he might cause a scene. I believed her. She's your aunt." Haley cut him off. "No, she's a liar, and you helped her." And then she said a line every viewer will get chills from. "If you ever contact Teresa again without telling me, you won't have a wife to come home to." And listen, if you've ever trusted the wrong person, subscribe. Stories like this aren't rare. Most people just never find the evidence. Haley came over the next morning. No tears this time, just anger, the cold kind. She sat down across from me. "Dad, I want to help you destroy her." And that was the exact moment the revenge plan was born. Here's what we realized as we talked. 1. Teresa didn't start lying last month. She'd been building this narrative for decades, slowly, patiently, like termites in a house foundation. 2. She used church gossip networks as her weapon. A good lie travels twice as fast when the person telling it pretends to be holy. 3. She used Logan as a pawn. She needed someone young, impressionable, eager to impress the respectable aunt. 4. She manipulated family events to isolate me. Birthdays, graduations, holidays, all filtered through her version of history. 5. She thought she'd already won. The wedding humiliation? In her mind, it was checkmate. But revenge isn't chess. It's demolition. And we had the blueprint. We didn't want revenge out of rage. We wanted justice out of clarity. Here's the strategy, step by step. Step 1. Authenticate everything. The tapes, the handwriting, the date stamps, her mother's voice. Step 2. Build a timeline of every lie Teresa ever told. We contacted old neighbors, family friends, people from her church. Her halo had cracks, big ones. Step 3. Confront Haley's husband for real, not in anger, in evidence. We needed him to flip, to switch sides, to break away from Teresa's influence. Step 4. Set the trap at the family reunion. Every year, everyone gathered. Teresa always held court. This year, we were bringing the tapes, out loud, in front of everyone. Step 5. Hand her the lawsuit after the public exposure, not before, not privately, in front of the very people she manipulated. You want to know something? Revenge doesn't work when it's hidden. It works when you take the lie and set it on fire. But here's what none of us expected. Logan, Haley's own husband, did something behind her back, something that almost destroyed the entire plan. And when I found out, it changed everything. But let me ask you something. If your spouse secretly helped the person destroying your family, would you forgive them? Or would you treat them as part of the enemy? Let me know in the comments. And if you're still watching without subscribing, tell me why. I'm genuinely curious. 3 days before the reunion, 3 days before we were going to expose 20 years of manipulation, something happened. Something stupid. Something dangerous. Something that made me question if my daughter married the wrong man entirely. I was organizing the tapes when my phone buzzed. It was Haley. Her voice was sharp. "Dad, Logan's gone." "Gone? What do you mean gone?" "He left the apartment, he took his car, he took the spare copy of the tapes. He said he needed clarity." Clarity. Men don't leave with stolen evidence when they want clarity. They leave when they want control. Have you ever felt the exact moment a plan you built with your bare hands started crumbling because of one person? I grabbed my jacket, started driving. Haley kept calling. "He won't answer his phone, Dad. What if he went to Teresa? What if she convinced him to warn her?" You know that feeling in your gut when you realize the enemy knows you're coming? That's what hit me. I drove like a man possessed, not out of anger, out of fear. Because if Logan reached Teresa even once, she'd hide everything, clean her tracks, rewrite the narrative, turn the entire family against us before we even showed up. And Haley? She'd be destroyed all over again. Lightning flashed across the sky. My wipers scraped loudly. My hands trembled on the wheel. Halfway to Rhode Island, my phone buzzed again. A text from an unknown number. "You people never learn to let things go. Dash. T." I slammed the brakes. She knew. She knew. But how? If you were in my shoes, who would you suspect leaked the plan? I called Haley. "Your husband didn't go for clarity. He went for protection. Not for you, for her." Haley went silent. Completely silent. Then, "I'm going to find him." "No," I said. "You stay home. This isn't your fight anymore. It's mine." But she wasn't listening. She hung up. And that's when the countdown started. 72 hours. Until the reunion. Until the trap. Until the truth either saved our family or buried it forever. I found him. Old motel on Route 1. Curtains drawn. Engine running. He looked like a man who'd been crying but didn't want to admit it. I parked. Walked towards him. He stepped out, hands up, like I was armed. "Frank,
I messed up. No kidding. He held the tapes in a plastic grocery bag. I didn't give them to her, he said, quickly. I swear, I almost did. But when I drove towards her house, something felt wrong. I stared at him. Cold. Unmovable. And what changed your mind? He swallowed hard. She called me before I even arrived. She said, bring the evidence inside. I never told her I had it, never texted, never called. She knew. Like she was watching me. That's when the real twist hit. She told me she had cameras, screenshots, proof you were dangerous. But when she tried to send them, she sent blank images. Blank images? She wasn't trying to show him proof. She was trying to scare him, trying to control him, trying to recruit him. But she miscalculated something big. Logan wasn't evil. He was gullible, weak, easily influenced, but not malicious. And weak people? They break under pressure. Right there in that motel parking lot, he broke. Frank, I'll testify. I'll tell everyone what she told me to say. I didn't forgive him. Not yet. But his weakness had value now. His truth had weight. And his testimony? It was the nail for Teresa's coffin.
But revenge stories never move in a straight line. And just when we thought Logan flipping sides sealed the plan, Teresa did something no one expected. Something bold, something brazen, something that proved she wasn't afraid, she was escalating. The next morning, I got a letter. Not in the mail. On my kitchen counter. Inside my locked house. And the message? It changed the entire game. If someone left a letter inside your locked house, would you call the police? Or would you read it first? Tell me in the comments. People's answers to this always blow my mind. I woke up before sunrise, the kind of morning where the world feels too quiet, almost staged. I walked into the kitchen and froze, because sitting right in the center of my counter, in a house I had locked, was a cream-colored envelope. No name, no stamp, just one word written in looping, perfect handwriting. Enough. Richie, have you ever felt every muscle in your body tighten at the same time? I didn't touch it, not at first, because I knew in my gut, that anyone who enters a man's house without breaking a lock isn't leaving a friendly message. I opened it. Inside was a single sheet of paper, just one sentence. If you play those tapes at the reunion, I will show Haley what really happened the night her mother died. T. My blood turned to ice. You ever have someone grab the one wound you've spent decades trying to close and rip it open with one sentence? That's what she did. She wasn't threatening embarrassment. She wasn't threatening reputation. She was threatening history. And let me tell you something. The night my wife died, only 2 people were in that house. Her and Teresa. So what did Teresa mean by what really happened? Was she bluffing or confessing? If someone hinted they knew more about your spouse's death, would you confront them immediately? Or wait until you had leverage? Tell me your instinct. When I showed Haley the letter, she didn't cry. She didn't scream, didn't shake. She froze, completely still. That terrified me more than anything. Dad, how did she get inside your house? I don't know. Does she have a key? No. Then she whispered a question that felt like a knife. Dad, do you think she had something to do with Mom's death? That question has lived in my bones for 20 years. I never said it out loud, never let myself. But now, I couldn't hide it anymore. I don't know, I told her. But your mother was healthy. She didn't drink, she didn't fall,
And the only person with her that night was Teresa. Her breath trembled. She put her hand to her mouth. Then she said, "Dad, I think she's dangerous." And hearing that from her, the same daughter who once defended Teresa with her whole chest, told me everything I needed. Teresa wasn't done lying. She was escalating. As Haley and I planned the final steps, my phone buzzed. Logan. I almost didn't answer, but something told me to pick up. "Frank, I think you need to look at this." "What now?" She texted me something. A cold wave ran through me. What did she say? Logan's voice cracked. She said, "If you think those tapes scare me, you should see what else I kept." I felt my heart thud against my ribs, because that sentence, that wasn't a bluff. That was admission. She wasn't worried about the tapes. She wasn't worried about the letter. She wasn't even worried about the reunion. She was worried we'd discover exactly what she did 20 years ago. Logan swallowed hard on the phone. "Frank, she sent me a picture." "A picture of what?" He took a long breath. "A photograph of your wife the night she died. Your wife wasn't alone, and she wasn't conscious." My knuckles went white around the steering wheel. "Send it to me." The picture arrived, and what I saw, it didn't just confirm my worst fear. It rewrote the entire story, because in that photo, in my own dying wife's final moments, there was someone else in the frame. Not Teresa. Someone worse. Someone Haley trusted even more. And when I saw who it was, the entire revenge plan changed in one instant. Before we go on, let me ask, if you discovered your spouse's death wasn't an accident, but the result of a choice someone close to you made, would you seek justice or revenge? Your answer tells me everything.
The photo Logan sent me, it wasn't grainy. It wasn't distant. It wasn't a mistake. It was deliberate, clear, sharp, cruel. My wife lay on the floor of our old living room, eyes half open, body limp. A glass spilled beside her. But the detail that punched the air out of my lungs was the shadow kneeling beside her, a hand on her wrist, a second hand hovering over the spilled drink, checking her pulse or something else. And when the figure leaned into the light, I felt my stomach twist so violently I nearly dropped the phone. Because it wasn't Teresa in that frame. It was Haley's husband, Logan. Younger, clean-shaven, barely in college, frozen in the last photograph of my wife's life. Have you ever felt your entire world tilt, like gravity stopped working? Like you suddenly didn't trust the ground under your feet? Because that's what it felt like. My daughter's husband, the man who helped ban me from her wedding, was present the night my wife died. Not as a child, not as a stranger, as someone who knew her, someone who entered that house, someone who never once mentioned that night to my daughter. Why? Why was he there? Why didn't he call anyone? Why didn't he tell Haley? Why didn't he tell me? And here's the part that makes your bones go cold. The timestamp on the photo was 37 minutes after the official time of death. Meaning, he didn't walk in on a dead woman. He was there before the paramedics. If you saw your spouse's signature on a poison report and your son-in-law's face beside their dying body, what would you think? When I reached the motel, Logan stepped out of his car with his hands raised. He looked terrified. Not guilty. Terrified. "Frank, I can explain." "No," I said, stepping closer. "You can confess." He swallowed so hard I could hear it. "Your wife wasn't supposed to drink it." My vision went white around the edges. What did she drink? He wiped his face with both hands. Something Teresa told me would calm her down. She said your wife was having panic attacks. She said the mixture was safe. I lunged toward him. He stumbled backward, almost falling. You gave my wife something without knowing what it was? He shook his head violently. I didn't know anything at the time. I was a kid. She trusted me. She said I was helping. She said your wife was unstable. She said if she didn't calm down, she could hurt the baby. I froze mid-step. Baby. Logan nodded. She said your wife was pregnant. My breath caught in my throat. Pregnant. My wife never told me, never hinted, never even suggested it. Why? Logan kept talking, words pouring out in the panic. She collapsed. I tried to help. I tried to lift her. I tried to call Teresa, but she didn't answer. When she finally came, she told me to leave. She told me never to talk about it. She said you would blame me. And then he said something that made my knees weaken. Frank, I think Teresa killed her, and I think she made sure I couldn't speak. You ever realize someone's not a villain, just another victim of a bigger villain? Because that's what I saw in Logan's eyes. Fear, guilt, youth, manipulation. He wasn't the monster in the photo. He was the puppet. The monster? The one pulling the strings 20 years ago and today? The one who framed me? Controlled Haley? Controlled Logan? Controlled the narrative? That was Teresa. And that's when something inside me snapped. This wasn't revenge anymore. It was justice for my wife. Justice for my unborn child. Justice for the years stolen from my daughter. Justice for the life Teresa burned down one lie at a time. Everything changed in that moment. The reunion wasn't just about exposing lies anymore. It wasn't about humiliation. It wasn't about restoring my name. This became a case, a timeline, a motive, a pattern, a predator. A predator who had gotten away with the death of her own sister. A predator who had manipulated a teenage boy into helping her. A predator who had spent decades eliminating every obstacle to her control. She didn't fear the tapes. She feared the truth. Because the truth didn't just dismantle her version of events, it implicated her. Haley arrived minutes later. She saw Logan crying. She saw the photo. She looked at her husband like she was seeing a stranger. And then she said quietly, "Dad, this isn't a reunion anymore. This is evidence." I nodded. But that wasn't the final twist. Not even close. Because when we went to retrieve the rest of the tapes, the box was gone. Every single tape. Gone. And the window beside the table was open. Someone had been in my house again. Not Teresa. Someone faster. Someone younger. Someone with access to things Teresa didn't know we had. And when we found out who had taken the tapes, the entire revenge plan flipped on its head. And tell me in the comments, if evidence of a 20-year-old death vanished from your home, would you stay and wait or go hunting?